From lending their voices to some of the most hilariously odd animated bathroom accessories, to being drafted in as a straight-up dick. Each of the following actors all play their part in some of the most shocking, side-splitting, and all-out ridiculous performances ever to grace a screen. For better or worse. I'm Gareth from WhatCulture.com, and here are the 10 weirdest things actors were cast as. Number 10. Tom Kenny is King Jellybean, Rick and Morty. The ludicrous world of Rick and Morty, crafted by Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, isn't exactly a stranger to outlandish and shockingly funny personalities. However, the honor of being arguably the most surreal face on show throughout the show's run so far has to go to the unsettlingly bizarre King Jellybean. This massive anthropomorphic jellybean, voiced by veteran voiceover actor Tom Kenny, at first appears to be an innocent enough giant confectionery treat. Though his demeanor and attitude suddenly takes a turn for the uncomfortable when Mr. Jellybean suddenly forces himself on Morty in a bathroom. Morty is thankfully able to beat the living piss out of the creepy force before he's taken advantage of, with Rick eventually blasting the sexual predator village king into smithereens upon figuring out what had actually gone down. As far as weird and unpleasant characters go, Tom Kenny's animated Jelly certainly takes the bean. Number 9. Horst Baron steps in because Willem Dafoe's penis is too enormous. Antichrist. Keeping in the vein of the darker side of the film and TV making world, Lars von Trier's Antichrist sees Willem Dafoe's he embroiled in a rather freakish and deeply unnerving sexual exchange with Charlotte Gainsbourg's she, at one point in the largely experimental horror flick. And though the scene itself can undoubtedly be classed as one of the weirdest back and forths you're ever likely to see pop up on a television screen, a piece of casting that went into bringing it to life is arguably even stranger still, mostly due to the reasons behind it coming into play. With Dafoe himself offering to strip down and show himself off completely for the moment, von Trier was forced to inform his actor that he just could not allow him to appear fully in the buff for the moment in question. Simply put, his junk was too big for the film. As the director would explain, he had to pull the plug on Dafoe's dude being seen because everybody got very confused when they saw it. Opting for porn star Horst Baron to step in for the moment, he disturbingly ejaculates blood in the feature instead. Lovely. Number 8. Hugh Jackman testes himself, movie 43. Stepping into more farcical waters now, to a film that feels like it was actually released in an entirely different universe, it has to be said. But sadly though, movie 43 did very much get unleashed onto our universe, and forced us to witness Wolverine himself, Hugh Jackman, donning one of the most peculiar prosthetics any actor has ever likely been asked to perform with Jackman playing a character classed as the city's most eligible bachelor. Kate Winslet's Beth is stunned to discover that Davis is actually hiding a rather unanticipated physical characteristic, that being a set of balls dangling from his chin. Attempted hilarity ensues as Winslet tries to get through the dinner without eyeballing the vegetables, as Jackman wiggles and shakes his guys in a true test of his ability to get through a scene without questioning his career choices. It came as little surprise to see Jackman and the rest of the star-studded ensemble thoroughly duck promotional duties for this shockingly unfunny sketch flick, with director Peter Farrelly even admitting they clearly wanted out, but we wouldn't let them. Thankfully, this is one of the only roles Jackman has ever truly ballsed up. Haha. Number 7. Nicolas Cage is a version of himself. The unbearable weight of massive talent. Now, it's not exactly uncommon for a star to take on a role they were literally born to play on the big screen, but the balmiest of all performances of oneself is arguably yet to come, with the announcement of Tom Gormican's The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. This feature will see the already infamously bizarre and all-round larger-than-life presence of Nicolas Cage playing, as he puts it, a highly neurotic, anxiety-ridden version of himself. In fact, the project is said to be so downright nuts that the actor has even gone on record to admit that he'll struggle to sit down and watch the meta-action comedy, as it's too much of a whacked-out trip for him to endure witnessing himself in this scenario. With Gormican reportedly pushing Cage to fully embrace neurotic Cage throughout shooting and bring some of his most iconic characters to life, brace yourselves for one of the weirdest and likely most enjoyable turns of 2022 this April. Number 6. Samuel L. Jackson is a penguin narrator, Farce of the Penguins. Possessing one of the most distinct and recognizable voices in all of pop culture, any project that boasts the vocal qualities of one Samuel L. Jackson is always worth a minute of your time. However, few of said features and TV offerings hold a candle to one particular parody documentary that was brought into existence by the late Bob Saget back in 2007 when it comes to sheer insanity. Acting as a direct comedic response to 2005's much publicized March of the Penguins. Saget takes on the role of Carl the Emperor Penguin, with the writer-director also bringing in the likes of Christina Applegate, Whoopi Goldberg and Tracy Morgan, along for the farcical ride that uses real-life footage of penguins to create comedy gold. Yet the sound of Jackson brilliantly narrating all of the action alone is enough to make you question what was in the popcorn you were stuffing in your mouth as the opening credits unrolled. Hell, the sequence that sees Jackson verbally sparring with a penguin he classes as a nutless mother effer has to rank as one of the most surreal and priceless unexpected duels in cinematic history. Number 5, Vin Diesel is a talking tree that only says 3 words: Guardians of the Galaxy. It may be taken for granted today, but when news broke of Vin Diesel being brought on board to star in one of Marvel Studios' incoming Phase 2 projects by the name of Guardians of the Galaxy, more than a few heads were turned at the reveal of precisely who the Fast and Furious megastar would be bringing to life. Instead of lending his sizable frame to a hulking hero in the same mold as a Thor or Captain America, Diesel would be occupying the MCU in purely a vocal form. And to add more strangeness to proceedings, Big Vin would also only be required to ever say, for the most part, 3 specific words as his Guardians of the Galaxy talking tree, Groot. Almost a decade on, it's hard to imagine anyone else lacing the phrase "I am Groot" into each of the unmistakable Flora Colossus' appearances, either in James Gunn's Guardians outings, or the ensemble epics that were Infinity War and Endgame. But that still doesn't change the fact that this, alongside a talking raccoon vocally realized by Bradley Cooper, sits as one of the most curious characters ever to be cast in a superhero property. Number 4, Frank Miller plays Man with Pen in Head, Daredevil. There's nothing quite like a knowing tip of the cap to one of the original creators of a well-known and much-adored character in the form of a blink and you'll miss it cameo. Yet while the many Marvel salutes to the undoubted god of said superhero universe that is Stan Lee were often as heartwarming as they were memorable, another comic book legend didn't get off quite that easy. Brought in as one of the unlucky lads to be bested and dispatched by Colin Farrell's Bullseye over the course of 2003's limp Daredevil adaptation, Frank Miller was given his moment in the on-screen sun as his dead body lay on the ground post-defeat. Adding further insult to injury, the highly influential comic book titan would actually be credited as Man with Pen in Head because, well, that's precisely the fate that ultimately heads Miller's unfortunate way in the end. A credit is a credit, however, and Miller made the most of his hollow stare into the middle distance. Number 3, Nick Kroll is a douche. Sausage Party. Famed for creating and starring in very much jaw-dropping projects like Netflix's Big Mouth, it does often feel like absolutely no character is off limits when it comes to deciding precisely what Nick Kroll will try his devilish hand at next. Sure enough, when the time came to cast 2016's animated attack on the senses that was Sausage Party, and the role of a certain douche became up for grabs, Kroll simply could not resist playing this R-rated CGI flick's big bad. The minute humans leave a supermarket in this unfiltered fictional land, just about everything available to them in the store, including horny hot dogs, highly intelligent pieces of gum, and feminine hygiene products, comes to life. Kroll's depiction of that last usually inanimate object sees the comedy actor go full a-hole, producing an insufferable bro-y twang to boot. After going fully insane upon having his nozzle broken and not being able to reach the great beyond, everything from highly disturbing juice box drinking to human manipulation via anus make for one of the most freakish animated beings you're ever likely to digest. Number 2, Jason Mantzoukas brings a penis to life, Pam and Tommy. You'd be forgiven for assuming that I was about to embark on another tale of a famous actor being swapped out in favor of a double when it came time to show off their junk in a production with this entry. But you'd be mistaken, as this next star has actually been brought on board the Pammy and Tommy Hulu ride to play none other than the voice of Tommy Lee's member. Holding this illustrious honor is none other than Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Good Place's Jason Mantzoukas, as the always side-splitting comedy star is due to add his vocal tones to an animatronic penis in the upcoming Disney Plus streaming biographical drama series. When talking about how this feat was pulled off in the show, director Craig Gillespie would note to Variety, "You've got 4 puppeteers working with an animatronic penis. And then, how much is too much? And do you start to lose his emotional torment of what's going on? Hopefully it works." Stating the absolute obvious, Gillespie would also describe the process as just awkward. Now, how do you follow that? Well, number 1, Taika Waititi is an imaginary friend who's also Hitler. Jojo Rabbit. News of Taika Waititi penning the script, directing, and ultimately starring in a film involving a young boy who frequently confides in his imaginary best pal, Adolf Hitler, felt like an unexpected move even for him. But in typical Taika fashion, he more than made the concept work, and decided that after being blackmailed into appearing as the infamous Nazi leader in the flick by Fox Searchlight, he would put zero effort into actually researching the man in an attempt to present an authentic portrayal of Hitler. In short, he didn't think he deserved it. What followed was a darkly slapstick turn from Waititi that takes every opportunity available to poke fun at the frightening figure, and a film that would ultimately lead to the outstanding director's first ever Academy Awards win, picking up the gong for Best Adapted Screenplay in 2020. Waititi definitely seems like the sort of person who revels in making it up as he goes along, but even he must have been left scratching his head at the sight of him as an imaginary iteration of an evil dictator being at the center of the work that sits as arguably his most acclaimed to date. Madness. And that's our list of any other weird things actors were cast as. Let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and go and click on that subscribe button. Also, be sure to head on over to whatculture.com and find some more incredible articles just like the one this video you are watching right now is based on. I've been Gareth from whatculture.com. Thank you as always for clicking on this video today, and I'm sure I'll see you very, very soon. Bye bye!